guys, it's Amy. Welcome back to Two Blessed. Today I wanted to share with you another update on my health. A lot has happened since my last update. Excuse me. In fact, I had to go back and rewatch my last update so I could kind of remember where I had left off during that update, and then bring you up to speed on what has happened since then. So, my last update was in April, and that was after I had had my gastric stimulator replaced, and I was feeling pretty good. And then, while I was in the hospital, my fistula in my left arm had failed. So, at that time, I had the temporary catheter in my chest, and that's what they were using for dialysis. And, excuse me, allergies are invading our house right now. My husband has been sick too. But so I had that chest catheter, and then I was waiting to see my vascular surgeon to find out what he was going to do for access for my dialysis. So that's where I'm going to kind of pick up. So I had gone to see him, and he said, the fistula was just shot. There was nothing he could do with it to make it work again. So our only option at that point was to create a new access. And so we had to move to my right arm to do that. Now, the veins in my right arm were not as good as the veins in my left arm had been. The veins in my right arm were not as good as the veins in my left arm had been, and they weren't great. So the ones in my right arm were even worse. So he wasn't able to do a fistula in the right arm. He had to do a graft, which meant that he had to put a piece of material. It actually said it was a bovine implant. So I have a piece of a cow in my right arm now, to create a stronger vessel that they would be able to then, put the needles into to run dialysis. Excuse me. So I had another surgery to have that graft put in, and then that had to heal for a few weeks. And then finally we were able to start using it. Now, another thing that happened during all of this is that I actually am going to a different dialysis clinic now. The dialysis clinic that I was going to, the transportation company that was bringing me, they charged a certain amount for transporting me and bringing me back home. And we were paying $30 each day for those trips to that dialysis clinic. And so it may not sound like a lot, but then when you think about the fact that I was going 3 days a week, that's $90 a week that we were just having to pay out of our pocket. Our insurance didn't cover it or anything like that. So I had found out that there was another dialysis clinic that was within the same chain of clinics that my doctor still went to, this other clinic, and it was really about the same distance away from our house. It's actually a little bit farther, but not too bad. The first clinic that I went to was about a 30-minute drive. This one is about 45 minutes. So it is a little bit longer, but the amazing thing is that for the same transportation company to take me to this new clinic, we are only paying $6 each day. So that has been a huge, tremendous blessing that we were able to do that, because that $90 a week was getting to be a real burden. It was a difficulty some weeks, actually, to even come up with that. So that has been a huge blessing. But it fits into the story right here because right about the time that I started going to this new clinic is when they were able to start using the graft in my right arm. So within just a short amount of time of starting that new clinic, they started using it, It seemed like it was working great. So I actually went and had that catheter removed from my chest, which was wonderful. Um, because the worst part of having that catheter in your chest is that you cannot take a shower. Yeah, and I'm a shower person. I don't like to take baths, and I prefer a shower, so I was so happy to get that out. And then at that point, it seemed like things were going great. My arm was working well. At this new clinic, they were able to reduce my treatment time. I was going 3 days a week, and my treatment time was 4 hours. They actually reduced me to 3.5 hours per treatment, and that was working really well. I felt like I was having more energy and feeling better. Um, like when I got home after having dialysis, I still felt tired, but I didn't feel as completely wiped out as I did before. So that was great. And then after about 3 weeks of using the graft in my arm, um, I had gone to dialysis one day, and at the same time that this was going on, my husband over the weekend had been working on some projects around the house, and he had hurt his knee. He couldn't really remember doing anything to it, but it started hurting. And so actually that week on Tuesday, he had gone to work, and he ended up coming home from work early because his knee hurt so bad he couldn't walk on it, and his job is very physical. So he had left work early and decided to go get that knee checked out. So we ended up going to the emergency room, and so he could get it checked. They really didn't find anything. They gave him a brace to wear on it, and then he had to follow up with another doctor. And so, they gave him some pain medicine and things like that. So then on Wednesday, he had an appointment to go follow up with this doctor, and then I was going to dialysis. So I went to dialysis, and when they were getting ready to start my treatment and they put the needle in my arm, they encountered a clot. So, they weren't able to like draw back and get any blood out or anything because there was a pretty large clot in there. So they wanted to send me immediately to the vascular surgeon. They have procedures that they can do, to remove the clots. So they actually weren't able to see me on Wednesday. So I wasn't able to have dialysis that day. And then we went on Thursday, and they did a procedure to declot that. So I went and had that done. We assumed everything was good. I went back to dialysis on Friday, and they basically had the same problem again. They were not able to run dialysis, couldn't, apparently there was still a clot in there that they hadn't gotten out or something. But they just weren't able to do it. So at that point, they sent me back. They wanted me to go to the surgeon. He wasn't able to see me that day. So they sent me to the hospital to have another catheter placed in my chest, and so that they could run dialysis on me. So we ended up doing that. I spent basically the entire day at the hospital that Friday. And in between all of these things, my husband was going to appointments to try to figure out what was going on with his knee, and try to hopefully get that better so that he could get back to work. So, during all of this time, he was out of work as well. So I had that done on Friday, had the chest catheter placed. They did dialysis, went home. Of course, over the weekend, didn't really know what was happening. And then we were waiting to find out what the next step was going to be again. So when I went to dialysis on Monday, they found out that he wanted to try to go into that arm again, basically do another surgery and see if he could like physically go in and remove the clots. And that was going to be scheduled for Friday of that week. That was the week of the 4th of July. So the 4th was on Thursday. So then I had the procedure on Friday. So they were able to do dialysis during that week because, of course, I had the chest catheter in. Um, so I was able to do dialysis, and in between, my husband was still running to appointments. He had a little bit of physical therapy done, and his knee was getting better. So we were thankful for that. So then that Friday, I had the procedure done on my arm, and then while I was at the hospital, they went ahead and ran dialysis because Friday is my normal day to have dialysis as well. Um, when I got done with everything and we were on our way home, then my husband was able to tell me what the doctor had said after the surgery. And he had implied to my husband that he didn't feel like the procedure had worked. He said that the graft itself was just kind of like lined with clots, and he couldn't go in and just scrape them off because that would damage it. So he removed what he could, and he kind of just said we would have to wait and see. But after the swelling has gone down and it had started healing, like I said with my fistula, when you would touch it, you could feel the blood pulsing through, like pumping through very strongly. And the graft was the same way. You could touch it and you could feel it. And right now I have an appointment to go back to see my surgeon next week. Yeah, in about a week. But I can already tell that you can't feel the blood pulsing through there. So to me, that seems to indicate that it's not working. And so where we are right now is I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what the next step is going to be. I'm not 100% sure if I want to take the next step that might be required. So I still have the catheter in my chest, the second one. It's still right there. And that's what they're using for dialysis right now. They don't like to keep those in long term because the risk of infection using a catheter like that is much higher than if you have a fistula or a graft or something of that nature. So I know one thing that the surgeon had mentioned is that they had done vein mapping. So basically they had done like an ultrasound kind of my arms and my legs and trying to determine where the best veins were. And so before he had even done this graft, he said that if an access on this arm didn't work, that the next step would be to do an access in my leg. So thinking back on it, I kind of feel like he sort of felt like this one wasn't even going to work. And that kind of annoys me a little bit because I feel like if he thought that wasn't going to work, why didn't we just skip that? You know what I mean? But so I feel like he's going to say that the next step is to do an access in my leg, and I just don't know that I'm comfortable with that. For several reasons, the main one being that I am diabetic, and I just feel like having a surgery done in my leg is going to increase the risk of infection, and getting an infection in your leg when you're diabetic is especially dangerous because it takes longer to heal, and then there is the potential for having to lose that leg, and that's not a chance that I'm willing to take. Especially right now, I just don't feel that the benefit is worth that risk, if you understand what I mean. If this may not make sense to anyone else, but it makes sense to me. Also, we do have an appointment in 2 weeks from today, from the day I'm filming this, to go to Vanderbilt, which is where I will be having my transplant done. And so we have an appointment there to go and, like, I can't say get the process started. We've already started the process. We started about 2 years ago, but they had kind of put everything on hold because I wasn't on dialysis yet. And now that I've started dialysis and I have completed all of the steps that they wanted me to take, I had to get some dental work done, and I had to have a few different, like, cancer screenings. mammogram and pap smear and different things like that. So we've completed all of those things now. So we have an appointment to go and talk to them and see basically if there's anything else that we need to do or what else we need to do to move the transplant process along. Um, once all the requirements are in place, then it has to be reviewed by their panel or a board. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but a group of doctors and nurses review each case, and they are the ones that determine if that patient is eligible for a transplant. So that makes me kind of nervous. But so that appointment is in 2 weeks. We're going to talk to them about, especially with all of the issues that I've been having with access and things like that. We are hoping that possibly we can sort of move the process along and maybe just go for the transplant. I do have a potential donor. We have to finish some more testing there, but I do have a potential family member donor. So we would like to just see if we can possibly just move that along and maybe not worry about another access, just keep using the catheter for the time being and just get the transplant done. So we are hopeful that that might be what we are able to do, but we will see. So I believe when I see my surgeon next week that we are just going to tell him that we don't want to decide right now. We're going to take some time. We're going to think about it and come back in a few weeks and decide what we want to do. Because this whole mess, this whole mess that has been going on has just been incredibly stressful for me. I'm tearing up now, just like just trying to talk about it. But I really try to be a very optimistic person. I am typically a pretty happy person, and even with all of the terrible things that have been going on in my life over the last few years, I still generally manage to stay upbeat, to stay optimistic, and recently I've been struggling with that. I will just be honest. I probably have been dealing with some depression, most likely. And I don't like that. I don't like the way it feels. And especially right after I had that last procedure done on this arm, I had a really tough time kind of coming back from that. I spent quite a few days just feeling sorry for myself and even almost getting to a point where, you know, I told my husband this, I said, I'm not saying I want to do this, but I fully understand why there are people that would choose not to continue on dialysis. Like I was at a point where I said I sympathize with them. I fully understand it. I can see why someone would feel that way because I was starting to feel that way. And that was a little bit scary that I did feel that way. It was a little frightening to me. So I've been kind of just laying low the last couple of weeks. In fact, actually at one point I had filmed an update about my health and then I just couldn't even finish it because I spent a few days where I just didn't care about much and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to talk to anybody. You can ask my husband. I was in a mood. He was probably worried about me. But I just needed those few days to like get over all the bad stuff that was going on, So I'm still, even now, I'm still dealing with those emotions. They still pop up, and I have to squash them back down again. um, so yeah. So really, we're kind of in one of those points where we're just going to wait and see what happens over the next couple of weeks, especially when it comes to that appointment at Vanderbilt. That appointment is August 1st. So I will update you as soon as I can after that and kind of let you know how it goes and what maybe new information we have at this point. I don't know that there will be much new to us, but hopefully we will have a better, maybe at least a better understanding of what kind of time frame we're looking at and those sort of things. So now that I have depressed everybody, we will end this video, this health update. Terrible, terrible update. But I want to update it with some happy news. Because there is actually some good news regarding my dialysis. So right now, I have been doing dialysis Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And like I said, they were able to reduce my treatment time to 3.5 hours each treatment, which that was nice, just, taking off that little bit. And I did notice that it had increased my energy. I was feeling a little bit better. And I just found out actually yesterday that they are going to reduce my treatments again. And now I actually will only be going 2 days a week. And I'm so excited about this. You probably don't even understand how excited I am about this. So they did some extra testing and things like that, and just really found that my numbers are really great. And it just seems like my body does not need that amount of dialysis right now. So I'm going to be going Mondays and Fridays. They are going to increase them back to 4-hour treatments each day. But that way, what I am really happy about is I will have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the week where I will be at home. I won't have to go to dialysis, and I'm very hopeful that those days I will really be feeling good and have energy and just be able to do some things that make me happy again. Because, to be honest, lately, I haven't even felt like doing anything to make me happy. I've been trying to just get by with doing the bare minimum that I needed to do to survive each day. And so I'm very excited about this. I don't know how long I will be able to do just the 2 days. Of course, they're going to keep a close eye on me and monitor everything. And if anything would start to decline even the least little bit, they'll just pop me back on Wednesdays too. So, like I said, even if it's just for like a month, that'll be great. So I'm excited. Hopefully you guys will be excited, because I'm hoping that this means I will get to make some more new videos pretty soon. I've got some projects that I would like to work on, and I'm even thinking about doing some cooking videos to show some of the things that I do to reduce the sodium in my diet. That's been a big change. So I'm hoping to share some of those things with you guys. So I think that's everything I have to share with you right now. If you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. Like I said, that way you'll just get notified whenever I post a new video. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you in the next one.